Am I the asshole for being rude to my stepdaughter and banning her from eating with the family? I have two stepdaughters, Scarlett, 18, and Ava, 16. Scarlett is an amazing singer.
She's been in some kind of voice lessons since she was 10 and just graduated from one of the best performing arts schools in the state, where she went on a full scholarship since 6th grade.
She has a YouTube channel where she sings that she's starting to make money from and was accepted into some very prestigious music schools. Additionally, she has been working paid gigs for the last 2 years and makes at least $500 $1,000 per week, more in the summers. She's even been the opening artist at a few concerts. I'm not trying to brag, I'm just saying she's an objectively good singer.
Ava, on the other hand, is not a good singer.
She likes to believe she is, and she might become one if she actually stuck with voice lessons or choir classes, but she always quits after 1-2 weeks because they're bullying her, giving constructive feedback. I've seen the notes her classmates and teachers have given her.
Ava also likes to sing very loudly and/or at bad times.
For example, if she feels that we're too quiet at the dinner table, she starts to loudly sing.
It doesn't sound good, and I honestly don't know how she doesn't hear it. If you ask her to stop, she keeps going, and if you're blunt and say stop, that doesn't sound good. We don't want to hear it, she keeps going and gets even louder just to annoy you. If we're in the car and we don't let her choose the songs, she'll loudly sing whatever she wants, not what's playing, to annoy us, and responds the same way to us telling her to stop.
The only person she listens to is her dad.
A few weeks ago we were trying to eat and she was singing again.
I told her to stop and she refused, so I took her plate and told her from now on she is no longer allowed to eat at my table.
She can eat in her room, the backyard, her car, the garage, wherever she wants, as long as we can't hear her from the dining room, and that this will continue until she can behave appropriately at the table.
My husband and I argued about it, but he's not home for dinner, so there isn't much he can do about it. Today she was eating lunch with us and started singing again. I told her to stop and she didn't listen, so I again took her plate and told her to eat somewhere where we can't hear her if she doesn't want to act appropriately. Ava argued that she's a better singer than Scarlett and that Scarlett sings all the time. I was done with her bullshit, so I asked her how many times someone other than her dad has actually asked her to sing. Not even paying her to be there. Just ask her to sing, or how many performing arts schools she's gotten accepted to. She's applied to many. She started to cry, and my husband wants me to apologize for being rude to her and is insisting I allow her to eat with the family again. Am I the asshole? Okay, for almost the entirety of this story I was ready to say not the asshole until the very end.
So her sister gets to sing at the dinner table? Just not her?
I mean, I think it's weird to sing at the dinner table anyways, but if you have a double standard going on here, then you're the asshole.
Ava is younger than her sister. Sometimes it takes some time to get better at something, and acting rude to her and discouraging her because you clearly don't like her makes you an Either ban singing at the dinner table completely or keep your mouth shut and invoke the thumper rule. If you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. Everyone sucks here, Ava, just because she sounds annoying as fuck, and you because you're a parent and she's a child and you've, seemingly repeatedly, told her she's not good at something she's passionate about, and not in a nice way. Encourage her to follow other pursuits, and definitely continue to enforce that it's inappropriate to loudly sing when people want a quiet meal, but brutally laying out that she's rubbish at the one thing she's passionate about and rubbing in her failure to succeed is pretty harsh when it's coming from a parental figure.
Especially when it's followed up with, "and now go eat alone."
Everyone sucks here. It sounds like she is very envious of her sister and it's causing her to act out.
She's being immature and annoying.
But it sounds like you all are very quick to remind her that she sucks at singing.
It shouldn't be about how good she is or isn't. It should be about being disruptive and loud at the table, in the car, etc.
There are times when singing is appropriate and other times when it isn't.
If Scarlett were singing loudly at the dinner table, would she be asked to stop? If not, then you guys are extra assholes.
Something tells me she's doing this to try and get attention. How obvious is it that you're so proud of her sister? How much praise and attention does she get?
And how often is that done in front of Ava?
This sounds incredibly obnoxious, but something tells me there's a reason she's doing it. It's clear just from your post that you ring Scarlett's praises and cannot stand Ava. If it's that obvious in this post, I'm gonna guess your favoritism is seeping into Ava's reality as well.
You are the asshole and a bully. I'd be questioning my marriage if my partner treated my child like this. Not the asshole, you are not being rude, or the asshole just had to be more blunt to get it to stop. She's being obnoxious and looking for any attention. Unfortunately, you're giving it to her by getting irritated. It would probably be better to record it so your husband can hear this ridiculousness and ignore it. Am I the asshole for making my nephew eat food he ruined? He, 11M, is the child of my friend. I refer to him as my nephew because he calls me auntie. He was at my house and I made some hummus, also known as hummus.
He asked if he could put some Worcestershire sauce on his. I asked if that's something he's had on it before. He replied no. I offered to give him a small portion to try it first. He insisted he likes it and wants it.
I told him that in that case, even if he didn't like it, I expected him to eat it all. Surprise, Worcestershire sauce and hummus is not a winning combination.
He wanted to leave it and have me make him something else. I reminded him that I expected him to eat it after he was so insistent on having it.
I conceded I couldn't force him to eat it, but I wouldn't be making something else. I'm now the most horrible aunt ever, and my friend is angry that I let her son starve. This was lunchtime. She was picking him up at 5:30 p.m. to return home. He wasn't going to waste away. I don't honestly think I'm wrong here, but maybe I am?
Edit. I'm advised to add the following: that I replied to a question. There was also bread and celery and carrot and cucumber sticks, and feta cubes.
He did eat the bread and feta cubes, so there wasn't no food, just not as much as originally intended. Second edit. First, addressing a few common topics.
That's a pretty normal-sized lunch in my country. It's more food than I generally eat for lunch, and it's a similar size to the lunches his mother feeds him.
I call it hummus because the standard spelling in my country, it's an accepted variation. People. Tears of joy.
Thank you for overall voting me not the asshole, although I suspect it was close and I have read all the comments and taken them on board. As a few people guessed, my friend got the "I ate nothing all day" version from my nephew, and once she heard the extended version of events she was no longer particularly upset.
I agree, I could have been as insistent that he try a small bit as I was that I wasn't replacing it if he didn't like it, and apologized to him for that. I also apologized for the "you will finish it. That was never what I meant." He now understands why it was suggested that he experiments with a small bit, and accepts he could and should have taken that advice. He also apologized for wasting it, although whilst I don't like food waste, that wasn't my main concern. He should be taught to not be wasteful. I'm leaning towards not the asshole.
However, is hummus the only thing he was given for lunch?
That's not very filling even if he had eaten it all.
Not the asshole. In one of the comments Op answered, the boy did eat the food that was served with the hummus. He didn't have hummus.
I know a few kids that age and they all are mature enough to make those decisions. Also, Op gave multiple chances to avoid this situation and even a warning what would happen if he didn't like it.
If Op would have forced him to eat it, that would be some 10G else.
If he didn't have anything else to eat, also something else with the question why hummus alone, that's not enough.
But that is not the case.
The kid still had choices from which he could eat. And he did eat bread with feta cheese. Wow. A lot of crazy responses.
Definitely not the asshole. You provided food. You customized it to his expectations. He chose poorly.
11 years old is well within the age of reasoning, and I wonder how many other people declaring they can't reason like an adult actually have children at this age. Kids are smarter than we give them credit for, and we can choose to direct them towards a path of logical thinking, or we can choose to remove any consequences that arise from their actions. I'll give you one guess which group ends up like some of the people we deal with today. Not the asshole.
These comments are dramatic as hell. You didn't starve him, there was other food to eat.
Not the asshole. At 11 you're old enough to understand the concept of tasting an unknown sauce before putting it on food. Not the asshole, and I'm actually shocked you had to clarify that there was stuff to dip into the ruined hummus. Like, who is actually eating that straight up? Kid made his choice, as we all do, and had to learn from it. I couldn't begin to tell you the amount of terrible food choices I made as a kid, and I had to eat all of them. Even the few times my mom made a bad dish, we'd eat it, her most of all. Because you just don't waste food unless it's actually inedible. Emo. Am I the asshole for telling my friend's fiancé that it's his fault she won't eat? My friend, 29F, and her fiancé, 30M, have been together for 3 years,
and they split all their bills.
But my friend is an elementary school teacher earning poverty wages, while her fiancé is a software engineer earning 7x what she makes. He has expensive tastes and always prefers to eat out at fine dining establishments. She cannot afford to split the bill, so she will eat McDonald's or snacks beforehand, and then only order a side salad or soup. Or she will just order a side salad and go hungry, because she can't afford anything else, but he insists on expensive restaurants. He always pokes fun at her eating salads. He mentioned it to our friend group at a party, and joked that women are always eating salads to watch their weight. I commented that my friend doesn't eat because she can't afford his expensive restaurants' tastes, as a woman in poverty, and it's his fault she goes without. He was shocked at this, and it caused a disturbance. My friend was outraged that I embarrassed them in front of people. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. People who insist on splitting bills 50-50 despite making shittons of money while their partner scrapes by are massive assholes. Esh. Not sure calling him out would result in changing his behavior, but to be honest, your friend needs to communicate with her fiancé. How they can think about marriage, if they don't even discuss their different financial situation, etc. Not the asshole. After 3 years, if he's so unaware of this dynamic, someone needed to say it, for both their sakes. You can tell the truth and still be the top. Your friend had to be humiliated after you embarrassed her in front of her friends. If you wanted to help your friend and open her fiancé's eyes, you could have done that privately to him. As a friend. Not as a drama play. Not the asshole. It's pretty gross he won't even cover a meal for her. Me and my husband have both supported each other during tough times, no questions asked about money. You're supposed to have each other's backs. Not be so transactional down to every meal. Is he really that dense that he didn't realize she was eating at McDonald's before going to the fancy restaurant? I am sorry, but scenarios like this have to happen for dense people like him to realize that it's not okay to do that to their partner. Your friend may be mad at you now, but what she's doing is settling for less just because she has a man. She should have put her big girl pants on and had a direct conversation with Mr. Airhead over there. Both your friend and her fiancé better think of going to couples counseling or at least work on their communication more before they get married. Seriously, who treats their fiancé like that? Also not the asshole. It's hard, but you're doing her a favor. Am I the asshole saying I will not spend Father's Day with my stepfather instead of my dad? My parents divorced 10 years ago. My mom got remarried 8 years ago. For the last 3 years I, 17M, have lived with my dad and I spend 1 weekend a month at my mom's house. Before that it was 50-50. But regardless of the custody split, I always spent Mother's Day with my mom and Father's Day with my dad. That didn't change just because she got remarried. But this year my mom is planning a special day out of my stepfather and he wants me to spend Father's Day with him, them, which includes my 4 half-siblings. I said no. My stepfather told me I always spend Father's Day with my dad and I live with him now, and hardly ever see him and my mom. And this is a big year because it's the first year with our completed family, and the last one before I'm finished high school, and I should invest in time with my family, but especially him, because I never let him in as a second dad and always treat him like he's just my mom's husband. He went on and on about how much he wants to connect with me and to feel like I appreciate him as a fatherly presence in my life. He told me the day would be fun too, so it's not like he's dragging me fishing or to sit watching paint dry. He told me I could easily celebrate both of them, just on different days, and my dad's plans are always easier to do another day, but this special day out relies on certain Father's Day activities. I kept saying no. I didn't reconsider at any point. My mom asked me to do it for just this 1 year. She told me it meant so much to my stepfather. I told her I wanted to be with my dad on Father's Day. When my stepfather asked me again, I told him I won't spend Father's Day with him over my dad, and he needs to accept that because my mind is not changing. He told me being so absolute about this is not showing me in a very good light right now. Am I the asshole? Do you have to go to your mom's house once a month? I think you need to have a private conversation with your mom and tell her that you have a dad and that is her first husband and not her second. Just because she changed husbands doesn't mean you change dads. You go less often to her house because you don't get along so well with husband already. Forcing the issue could have consequences. He told me I could easily celebrate both of them, just on different days.
Very true, and the different day can be his. You have an involved father who is alive and well and you want to celebrate him on Father's Day, which is your choice and your right.
Stepdad's the one who isn't being shown in a very good light with this obvious pissing contest he's trying to have with your dad.
That is what isn't a good look.
I will never understand people who demand to be celebrated.
If you need to demand it, it's time for some introspection.
Not the asshole.
But you always spend Father's Day with your dad.
Yes, think about why that might be. Obviously, not the asshole. Not the asshole.
You have a dad already. Why would they expect you to go and spend Father's Day with your stepdad?
He has his own children who can celebrate him. I have a dad and stepdad, but my stepdad understands why I always spend Father's Day with my dad. I buy a card and small gift for my stepdad, but my loyalties lie with my real dad on Father's Day. I thought there was an official Stepparents' Day. Let me get back to you. Edit. There is a Step Families Day on September 16th.
Let your mom and stepdad know.
What shows someone in a poor light is not taking no for an answer. You want to spend Father's Day with your dad. Which is entirely valid as he is your dad and he is very active in your life. Not the asshole.